In this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to set up your GoPro Hero 11 Black for vlogging. So switch on your camera and let's do this. So first things first, I want you to swipe down when you're at the main menu and swipe left. And now you can see this button over here that says controls. Tap that. And make sure you are on Pro and not on Easy. Because if you are on Easy, then this will be the full auto mode, which will not allow you to use your camera to its fullest potential. So if you are on Pro, then you can use pretty much all the settings. You can adjust whatever you want. So tap that, swipe up, and now we're back to the main menu. Next thing is you want to make sure that you are on video mode and not on time lapse or on photo mode. So make sure you are on video mode. Next thing, press this button over here. And now we're going to tap that arrow on the upper right corner that goes up and down. And now it turns into a plus sign over here, right? Now tap that too. And now this will allow us to create a new preset. Now we're simply going to go on video. So now we are on page number 2 out of 3, which is the most important part of this video, so pay attention. The first thing that we are going to touch is the lens. Tap that. And you want to be on the 16 to 34 mm mode and not on hyperview, because hyperview is just too extremely wide that if you do vlog with it, you're just going to be a tiny speck on the screen. And it's going to be very distracting to see your face warped. So make sure you are on 16 to 34 wide. The most used focal length of vloggers is the 16 to 35 lens. If you've heard of it, then this is a good focal length to be in because it's not too tight and it's not too wide. It's just enough to be able to show you and wherever environment you are in. So tap that. And the next thing we are going to touch is the resolution and frame rate, which is this button over here. Res or FPS. Tap that. So there are different resolutions here. I know you're going to be tempted to shoot in 5.3K because that's the highest resolution that this camera offers, but you're going to want to avoid that just to make sure that you're not going to have a hard time editing your footage once you do sit down to edit. So the safest possible resolution would be 4K because 1080 is too soft whenever you're using action cameras, and 2.7K is just not that flexible. So shoot 4K. And next thing, you're going to choose frame rates. I want you to do 24. And now we're going to go to Hypersmooth. Tap that. So here there are different levels for Hypersmooth. You got basically off, on, boost, and auto boost. So auto boost is obviously for those people who are doing extreme sports like maybe snowboarding or maybe surfing. But for normal use, like everyday vlogging use, you're not going to need that auto boost because that crops in heavily on your video and your footage is not going to be as sharp anymore. So you're just going to want to not be on boost, but be on just on right here. I've already tested this and this is more than enough for vlogging. So tap the screen and now we're back here. And now we're going to scroll up. The other things we're not going to touch. Now here we are at Protune. Protune is where the real magic happens because this is what is going to dictate what your video will look like once you do shoot. So 10-bit is a good setting to have because once you do edit, you're going to have all that color information. So you're not going to have so much trouble trying to correct your white balance if you do have an incorrect white balance. So switch it on. And next thing is bitrate. You're going to want your bitrate to be on the high mode because off is not really good for action cameras because it's already a very small sensor and you want to help the camera as much as you can. So switching on the higher bitrate will help it give you a much better image quality once you do sit down to edit. So for shutter, I would suggest you just leave it on auto. And next thing is white balance. I want you to leave it on auto. ISO minimum, just leave it on 100. ISO max is up to you. For me, I leave it on 1600. You can go higher if you're really shooting in a low light scenario. But for me, I'm okay with just shooting 1600. For sharpness, here's where it gets tricky. I know a lot of people will think that sharper images will look sharper, right? But since this is a small action camera which is shooting digital, this sharpness right here, if you set it on high, it's very artificial and you don't want that. In my opinion, after testing this camera for like 2 weeks, low is the best thing you can set it on. Medium, it's adding too much more than what I'd want. So I just set it on low. Sharpness can always be applied in post-production anyway, so just leave it on low. Next is the color. Here's one setting that I always tweak whenever I shoot with GoPros. Normally you're gonna be on natural. Some people even go to vibrant, which I don't like. I'm totally against vibrant and natural. For me, the best setting here is flat, because it's not really a log profile wherein you need to do so much work in post-production, but flat is just enough to keep the colors neutral, not too contrasty, and it looks more natural, and it doesn't look like you're shooting on a cheap camera, because most phones cannot shoot flat, right? So just shoot flat. Next thing is raw audio. You're not going to want to switch that on, because that's just going to add one more thing you need to do in post. As for the wind over here, which means the wind reduction feature, you're going to leave that on auto, because this has no external microphone, right? Which means you don't have a dead cat on it to prevent wind from hitting the microphone. So auto will allow you to use the GoPro Hero 11's system to correct for the wind noise, and you don't have to do much in post-production. So that is pretty much it. That was just a quick tutorial on how to set up your GoPro Hero 11 Black for vlogging. If you have any further questions regarding the GoPro Hero 11 or any other settings you want to learn, just hit me up with a comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.